Good evening, everyone. Am I audible? If I'm
Yes.
audible, yes, sir. Thank you, sir. If I'm audible, can you type in the text box yes or a boom? So yes, we are just 1 week of the main event. So I hope all of you guys are very thrilled to see the event. We guys are very thrilled to give you this event. So we have crossed more than 8,000 registrations, and we have roped in a star speaker. So you guys will be get notified about the speaker, and we have like collaborated with a lot of many psychological associations. You will all get notified about that events very soon. So if it's almost fine now, if any of your friends haven't joined the event, this session, ask them to join now. And also we have like 5 days time for the registrations. So make this time to the fullest and get maximum number of registrations. And the more people you bring, the more we will be giving you the benefits. All of you know we are giving certificates for 25 registrations. You will be getting volunteer kits, and after that we are giving some fancy gifts, such as we are giving both headphones, we are getting yeah, instant camera, and based on registrations we will give you whatever we could afford. So yeah, let's jump into the session now. So Suresh is he's a very knowledgeable person. He's a counseling psychologist and also an NLP practitioner. He is in membership with a lot of great organizations, great psychological organizations. So today's topic is about Gestalt psychology and its purpose in education. I'm very excited about this session. This is a very new topic. We have listened to various topics. This is a very new topic and interesting topic. Sir, can you take from here?
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Hi everyone. Can I audible?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir, you are audible, sir.
Okay. Shall I start now?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, shall I wait for sometimes or shall I start
We
now?
shall start, sir. We shall start.
Okay. Hi everyone. I am Suresh. I am a counseling psychologist as an NLP practitioner and CBT practitioner, and am a mental status examiner. I am a student of Dr. G. Rajamogan. He is an ex coordinator of psychology in Presidency College, Chennai. Currently, I am doing as a freelance psychologist, psychotherapist, in the signing name of APP Health and Beauty. Today, I need to speak about the Gestalt therapy and current education trend and its future, how far it's useful for everyone. Um, Anyone should the admission. Excuse me, please. Someone take care of admissions
Yes, sir. We will take care of it, sir.
because some interruption is there.
Yes, sir. I will do that, sir. You can talk, sir.
Okay. Um, Today is going to take how far Gestalt is therapy is influencing in education systems and family oriented, because Gestalt is purely used in current scenario. The using for only an family interpretations and family related oriented problems, education problems, and basic likewise. How far it's influenced in education scenario, the Gestalt is introduced on first pearls in 1893 to 1970 at the age of 23 in the World War One period. But slowly they fully concentrate with World War period, how far the family influence based issues and persons likewise they had to tackle that problems for they used. Similarly, my research is how far it's influenced to education system. In gestalt therapy, you can easily identify there are four boundaries: uh, body boundaries, value boundaries, and family boundaries, and expensive boundaries. In body boundary, you can you analyzing how far it's walking and how far it's talking to analyze. You go beyond and through in inter you for yourselves. For an value boundaries, how far it is our thought power mappings and our uh, cognition should be changed on the basis of depends upon how can we changing our behavior, cognition behavior and value boundaries. uh, Sometimes, hello, hello, hello.
I think there is some disturbance. So you can continue, sir.
Okay. In value boundaries and body boundaries, the in base of in NLP, they're saying as mapping is not a territory, so we can easily changing the map. It's in a map, so map is not a territory. You can able to read. If once you can able to read, we can do a successful manner. You can change your cognitions from the way of gestalt be probing you are probing by someone else or psychologist, even education career counselor. By probing you can able to change your territory and mapping everything. uh, for So if you're having some values, because of you have interest in archery learning or cricket or football, whatever it is. If you can choose them on mapping for interesting, your interest schedule means your mapping is there. That time you can how far you the cognition is changed by the probing of your that valuable uh, her coaches by how far it's valuable coaches for the cricket or tennis or archery is how far you can easily to change by the way of if I interest in max, go to a max teacher, how far you changing your cognition. By the way of probing by the chunking method of give some sums or problems and concepts and formula base. You can easily chunking and for probing day by day of homework and day to day homework. Likewise the chunking and probing in the positive manner, in easily approachable manner to do such things. In gestalt therapy, how far it is if you are in an archery person, if you are in interest in archery, a person go to an archery class. The first they taught about what is an archery, what is the bow, what is the length of arch arrows, how far it's how much kilometers you need to approach. That's are everything should need um, to teaching. No, the teaching also the way of probing in just on method. Whatever you chunking by chunking how were the syllabus, by chunking by the way of syllabus, the chunking way of um, unit base of chunking and the lessons way of chunking, the formula related chunking, and likewise the gestal is a full and full. If it's an arrogant student, it's not things to say about that, but it's hello, hello, hello.
Yes, sir, so you can continue. So there
Some
is
disturbance.
Yes, so some people they might unmute mistakenly.
Okay, okay,
So
okay,
you
okay,
can
okay,
continue.
okay.
So
Okay. So, okay, the way of checking by one your life to probe as much of yourself, go to in the value boundaries, likewise, or a body boundary wise, uh, you can go inner self. You need to a time bounding as an both all coming from in marketing also. It just started way of the way of three chair method they are using as Gestalt. And on that way you can as its own you can chunk it everything to the map is not territory. It's a golden formula of NLP. On that way you can your territory need to expand by as it is as your own self yourself to chunking chunk by chunk. You need to approach everything. The just I'll took I need to do mathematics or some syllabus. I need to some syllabus you need to do. Or need to do. You first you need yourself as a visual person or an auditory person or a kinesthetic person. You need to first you identify yourself by the way of uh, routinely seeing one visuals. How far you reading, the how far you analyzing the visuals. Your visual persons are easily to analyze by the way of visuals one by one. That is Rorschach method. We can in Rorschach method, some you seeing butterfly is seeing butterfly is flying, uh, some persons are sitting somewhere. Likewise, you need to analyze that one that is you fix it in the map of that visions. As a visual person, you can easily to chunk likewise. One picture, you take one picture. The person is on standing on the a station or bus station or something. You give that to expand your to give that explanation is going. The person is going to take the bus or need to get down from the bus or to need to journey by bus. Likewise, you need to your inputs need to extra input. Likewise, the studies you need to uh, put some you need to put some value added territory mappings, like one vision you taking one vision. Likewise, you can able to easily identify. In my childhood I utilize that how far it's to explanation of butterfly. I need to draw a butterfly. After the easily to identify the parts of the body or organs of the body, I need to easily identify and to return like this. But I'm visual and auditory person. So I likewise I'm keeping whatever it is. I look. I would draw a circle. I need to do such thing. Means if that I keep one mapping or a drawing or something else. I need to draw first in my mind. Afterwards, I too I expand the territory of mapping by the way of parts. That is useful for science, but in the way of you seeing some cinemas, we go to a historical movie. If you see in a historical movie, by the way of you influence with that movie, but you can usually to recalling your visual memory by the way of visual remembrance. You can easily write that whatever it some for it is everyone is in historically the history lessons and some moral story lessons in English. Likewise, you can easily to be by the way of visual remembrance, you can easily to identify and easily to score up in your marks. In nowadays, astrology is a blooming. How far is the blooming job. um, Everywhere it is everywhere should everyone is doing astrology and saying some this planet is giving trouble for you, this planet is giving your disturb this year, this planet is giving success for you. How far it is saying? It's just already the planets, the map of planeting territories is there, but you can how far it is utilizing, how far it is utilizing with the maximum ratio of rays. In summer we can uh, feel the heat, and sometimes you feel the cold, and springtime sometimes the calculating ratio by the distance of ratio, and that uh, earth difference between the sun and moon and the planetary galaxies calculations, as per as the astrologists are saying. We nowadays we can easily to identify a next menstrual period of females. You can easily to identify by the way of in astropsychology. We can easily to identify that. How far is it? By the way of astropsychology, we can also um, uh, on between of the menses period and the calculation the behavior of females, we can easily to identify that. This is not a gestalt therapy, but it's how far it's mapping, how far it's our territories. We can expand in the way of it's an astropsychology, or if you take an astrology, you can take some astropsychology. Then need to some counseling to attract, by the way of probing some mannerism. You say. Keeping the mannerism to attract yourself, and so say by the way of probingly, probably you using a sweet words or hard words. They doesn't use hard words, but we using as soft sweet word manner they using, and it's slowly to attract him. But he can, everyone can analyze and to give importance to chunk, give and concentrate of chunking and concentrate of knowledge. You can, everyone can, and that you can expand your territory. In Gestal is by sometimes is fitting uh, defensive manner, or in or defensive festival, you can use as defensive manner by the way of negative. After we go interior, to go beyond internal yourself, and to expand by one of steps, but step by step you can easily to expand whatever it is. For just all is, it's not an by each and every person. So you, a person, and who's the victimized, and whom for whomsoever they may affected, and you can also, yeah, analyze by first you need to analyze. First you must know to you are a visual or auditory or kinesthetic, but how far it is by the way of your remembrance, for your expanding it, uh, ex- how far analyzing yourself. If you can able to read by visual, you can, you are how far you to recollecting the visuals, how much you can more and more expandable mappings, expansive how can you give that how far it is that story, or how can you can able to create, you can how much and more you can able to create by the way of visuals. You are a visual person, you can easily to create drawings, you can create you can create anything robotics, you can create you are in a mechanic easily. The if you're a visual person should easily can do the way of drawing paintings and mechanicalisms, engineering students also some visual auditory, some kinesthetic persons also can utilize an engineer or a computer software engineer. Likewise, they are perform very well because of their visual remembrance is high. This is so you can that visual remembrance help us to expand your territory. For you interjections by family ancestors, you can gather some things from the parents and relatives and environmental. You can the introductions by the way in childhood you gathering everything from childhood, so you can easily to do such mappings. uh, do do such mappings, you can easily to do such things. But you need to someone else to probe in childhood years. Teachers is probing to get high score marks by the probing of homeworking, testing method, testing and retesting is giving some marks, and to analyze that way of your introductions were to change cognitive interjections by changes how far it need to change in a behavior structure or a mathematical structure. That interjections need to changing by the way of teaching, by the way of um, test and retest method and recycling method. They give some, that is also in Gestalt educational probing. um, to analyze this first, your programming is your program is for the way of ancestors. Somewhat your parents has need to, you want to become a doctor. Uh, you want to need to become a doctor, but your interest is the mapping is differ from our cricketer or actor. No problem, the actor also can able to uh, give treatment to medicals. After that medicals, after that doctor to actor turned doctor turned to actor in this range. Somewhat in your that peer groups, you can able to probe or treating as a doctor from that is an actor scenario is that lightmans everyone should utilize by yourself. But that map is for from gathering from your, if you are involving your parents or father to give importance to your father is a doctor. If you give some importance to look around whatever his behavior, attitudes, everything, you can looking everywhere. You can give importance to your map is going to I want to become a father because my father is a doctor. He treated plenty of persons, he praised by lot of persons, so I want to also become a doctor. That's one. A doctor symbol is to in your subconscious minds they register as a you are a doctor. Afterwards, slowly giving importance to how far it is. I need to get a good marks. I need to get a high scoring of marks. Afterwards, you slowly give importance to um, that expand your mapping for just all how far is helping to for probing as a defense mechanism or a direct mechanism. The probing is easily to analyzer or caretaker or characteristics and everything everybody. You can you are in to the just expanding the probing of your whatever thoughts to expanding likewise. um, the given though the good and bads, the given though the good and bad, you can uh, for how it is, I am a good person, I can able to do. He's a good person, that you can choosing a peer group of relatives, peer relatives, and go and get some ideas and getting some everything is for it's you utilizing that. And step by step your internal probings, internal affections, internal mapping affections, internal probings, and expanding, chunking, and time bounding, fetching some time bounding. I need to achieve this and if achieve on this and to this level. So after you give some analyzing, you are in self analyzing is the best way of um success. If you go into another person, they give somewhat it is negative, somewhat is it is positive. You can't able to, if you can't able to digest, if can common it's a common or somewhat common or somewhat in situation mode, you can easily to digest. If it is a situation is not good, you can't able to digest. If you can easily to react harshly or vexly to get back from. So as a Gestalt method, you go internal yourself and realize yourself how far it is to go bound to inner bound, um, to value also value or bounding boundaries, to analyze your boundary first. If, past yesteryears we can use robotics for toys as a toys. Nowadays robotics is using for armies and using for uh, receptionist and hospitality likewise the nowadays robotics is using for everywhere. Yesteryears they are as a toy, robotics is a toy. Now, but the Chinese is expanding that robotics. The map, the territory is expanding the territory, and it utilizing to creating more and more. Um, what you have some essence to uh, your mind to some gimmicks or jiggery or whatever it you can put anything to likewise they influence the robotics and to study and to probing as a different manner. I'm the it is robotics is usually for use in our country we are using for hospitality purpose. In our country the robotics is using for receptionist purpose. In our country we are using robotics for army purpose. If we can using robotics for registration purpose. Likewise with the territories, checking the territory and expanding the territory. And nowadays robotics is one of the education systems. Likewise DNA, DNA genetical DNA analysis. As far as concern astropsychology concerns, the genetical DNA is yesteryears in 2000 years back, every genetical says, they say the saints are some genetical birth. If you are a saint, if in a current scenario, if you are a saint, in a previous 4 or 5 years back, 4 or 5 birth wise, that genetics can influence you, influence by the way of the influence is there. We can every that influence is already is there, but nowadays as the sound sense era Mariu that says the movie only get back to um, that we can easily to reproduce our DNA to recollect everything, the past, uh, past knowledge and everything, to coping, to provoking, and everything is genetical psychologies. Everything is possible. But yesterday, yes, they used, because that inner selves, inner value boundary readings, inner value boundary reading, you can go to inner self yourself. If you can go to inner yourself, you can easily to if you are in a calm mode, you go to inner yourself. Whatever you done, that mapping, the visual remembrance, go to analyze. Slowly, if you are in visual remembrance analyze, you can easily to identify false and negative or positive. You can easily to analyze the by the way of the ESP extrasensory perception is also by the DNA can helps by in Gestalt. That also is a probing, inner value boundary analyzing is a Gestalt's probing. That also in Gestalt's, that is not deeply, that only can you can outcome, that the Gestalt is purely for inner outcome. You need to inner problems or whatever it is, you need to get outcome, output. You want to output that. Afterwards only your problem solve. So likewise, the in astropsychology, that they do such a form of DNAs or astro DNAs or astro calculation, astro equation, astro formulation. Everything is based upon that some DNAs, some interest. If the DNA interest in your DNA, you had that. Um, that mapping is not there, you can't do that such things in inner DNA. That the if some holistic they saying in your death, last time of death, you whatever thought, that is to transform to next rebirth. How far it is possible, how far is DNA is how far that DNA is coming, that DNA, but how far it's the DNA is how far it's coming. But your thought is only the in your death time, your thought is only transforming. Then how can it's the DNA is possible to one question mark is there. After the fourth generation, you also taking rebirth on same place. You find uh, that as a one great grandfather, the son by son, the son they thought somewhat it is expressed. If it is expressed to her son or relatives, that any if anyone having that mapping, that words, the auditory remembrance, if it is a visual remembrance shared gathered, next the should is transforming to that genetics. If it is not having any mapping or that visual or auditory remembers, it does not store into your subconscious mind. If it is, if you need last death of period, if you can able to express, but uh, in living time you can express somewhat it is. If one person need to become a suicide, need to um, attracts attention seeking, if somewhat it is they need a love, so he choosing for suicidal. Somewhat it is expressing, so someone to be to show me anchor, someone to show me extraordinary love affairs. So that time she's showing his anger to someone, someone also to showing as to threatening, a suicidal threatening, to attract hers or his or her or somewhat love. So that if we can analyze, that if anyone should interjections reflects, uh, if you analyze that interjection lines of the wording, that that wording or behavioring somewhat is registered to in your mind, to register in a subconscious mind. Slowly the registered behavior analyzing if that genetics should be passed upon your son. If it is, that map is in territory of in provoking on a third birth or fourth birth, that mapping is uh, to continue of somewhat that some in cinema is showing four generations are putting fighting together, and four generations. So likewise they are expanding here mapping, that way of the territory mapping territories inputting to past generation to present generation. So likewise, if you are became a doctor means nowadays you are not a doctor. In the future, the fourth generations, you are, your interest should be an a doctor to become a doctor. I want to do such things directly or indirectly. You do such as a doctor job. Directly or indirectly, if you are a psychologist or psychotherapist or a siddha medicine, homeopathy medicine, likewise that way of your, if you are a doctor, need to be a doctor. Likewise, somewhat you to become a doctor because of that fourth that generation territory, expanding territory, DNA territory is to influencing this birth because of subconscious registering of nowadays you somewhat is probing some on that birth of period, that that someone is an analyzer, now we say became a teacher for your teacher. It is happening for whatever it is. Somewhat he is a relative to now became a mother or relative. Some was some birth you can. So those who are analyzing on your values, your boundaries in your internal method, Gestalt to therapy is coping up to expose yourself to help us to, the therapies help us to in defensive method or passive method or active method, to likewise that Gestalt is helping to provoke, to expand your territory, your mapping territory, to expand how far it is happening. You can going, you are going to intern depth, you can going to somewhat, if you are, you can't that time you cannot cry, but if you are probing, you are easily to crying. It shows me your anger, it shows me whatever it is that you probing your, to someone is probing means you expose and exploiting whatever it is. So the education, the current education, you need to, if you have to one mapping, you can choose. First, you choose. If first you are a visual person, first that you can identify. Go to, I want to an artist, or I want to become a reader, or become a, I want to, whatever it is. First, you can list out. I want to become a doctor, but previously you want to be a visual or auditory person. First, you need to known about it. Then what? Then you can easily to go to beyond to expand your territory by the checking. If I'm a doctor, I want to know about anatomy, physiology. So the, if you, how far the visual person is easily to analyze it, anatomy and health organs, parts of organs, you can recollecting easily. If you're a visual person, you can easily to recollect the organs. The liver is to become a chili. If you will give some values for the liver is become a chili, the kidneys become an peats of peats, some seeds. You give some large intestine should be become a uh, um, it's like what if you give some, the lungs should be a drumstick. The bones should be and uh, kurkere, like, and to give some essence to be and just drumstick, like a tomato or some potato or pumpkin, give some this. If the in term of the poet or easily writing, Veral Vendika, Molaga, Kartu Sang Kartu. Likewise, the poetry you give the organ to poet, you are become a poet. If you easily to recollect, likewise you can easily reading about the anatomy physiology, and afterwards if that's why the siddha or ayurveda doctors also, the brinja gives to health of heart, that ladies finger gives brain energy, some how for the tomato is clear help for kidney or some likewise they designing that. So these are all visual persons, the visual persons to give the mapping of that organs. The visual person can able to mapping of uh, that interesting method. If it is auditory persons, you can that auditory person gives just whatever he's saying is a the just commanding behavior person. The auditory person is just for a commanding behavior persons. If future generations, if first you analyze, I want to become a visual person or auditory person, the education system to first that is as a teacher, or you are a teacher or whatever it is, first the students must be a visual or auditory first as, or it is your teacher doesn't know, or you go to beyond inner yourself, whatever it is. In childhood days I'm seeing a lot of movies. In childhood days heard a lot of music. In childhood days I written a lot of poets or essays, whatever it is. How far it is, I'm a visual auditory remembrance or visual remembrance. I read a lot of story and the way of I imagine if it gives some few car by that th- for somewhat you give some sodium bicarbonate. Sodium is give some soda. Buy means someone giving for buying some anything for cash or anything. Carbonate is gives some carbon. That sodium bicarbonate. The connections some program is held at some Vijay program. The connection is also a NLP method, but the way of the connections, if you playing a connection gaming, you can easily to visual remembers persons easily to that way. You can easily to read everything in NLP. Somewhat auditory means if you are a music here, music listeners, you can't able to easily to sing, but the visualization is helpful to helpful to sing. What if it is a lower mode or upper mode, you can hear a lot of times, but you can recollect it means you need the visual person is helpful to, the visual auditory is helpful to recollect to correct your mistakes. For how far it is education is Gestalt is using the visual person. If it is you are an visual person, first you doesn't need to you are need to draw, or you need to something whatever it is you need don't need to do, but you can able to see a lot of picture, see a lot of uh, um, pictures or something, but visually you can easily the coloring. visualing the coloring or visualing the mapping, whatever it is that you can register in your mind. Afterwards, you can give some essence, like was as I said before, where when it comes to give some essence to the finger is it becomes a lady's finger to give some essence. Likewise, the finger is become a lady's finger means how is essentially to somewhat is easily to tasting. Some person has tasted the lady's finger. Some so now finger is a lady's finger easily to register in your mind. So likewise, the mapping is to provoking or slow step by step provoking probing give some visualisms interesting to coloring. You give some color, you give some essence by a way of to read easily and recollecting easily to territorying your that whatever it is you are registering in your mind to provoking boundaries, inner boundaries to come up and to your yes, yeah, whatever, so whatever you expressing is so as sweetly or colorfully or whatever it is. It's a education. Current education is not teaching like that. So in our childhood, my losing likewise when I am doing some mapping, I'm doing writing or doing some. You can easily do what are the marks. The scoring of mark is high or low, lesser or no. But if you can easily to identify your whatever is studies, whatever is keeping concentrating, your work is done perfectly. Every no one can should do be a perfect manner. At least you satisfying something what of 80% or 60% or 70%. Definitely if you're visually, if you are become an a visual person, as a gestalt therapy is easily to provoke and probe to value inner boundaries, analytic boundaries, to expand yourself as a 60% of whatever it is you're scoring your marks. But it can easily to interjections to mm, uh, as a visual auditory, you can visually remembering if you can able to visual remembrance everything you to coloring or uh, some whatever it is you can, if you can sensing some tastely or something else, you can easily to lifelongly you can able to, you know, none other can erase it in your thoughts, from your thoughts. Somewhat it is aging is come happens to forgetness is happening, but that mapping of register in subconscious, in your subconscious, is easily in your easily to recollect to fourth generation, up to fourth generations you can go in that. So some in last method, so is in spiritual method, if you became you need to reach a god, so you how far it is
So,
sir.
excuse me, sir.
Yes,
So
tell me.
sorry to interrupt. We are reaching around 5:45, sir.
Okay,
So can we take just one or two questions and can we end the session, sir?
okay, okay.
Yes, sir. Thank you. So
Thank you.
actually, John has asked a question, but he asked how Gestalt psychology can be used in studies. But right now, we explained that we can use our visual and auditory, like a person who is visual, we can teach them using that. So I think you answered his question, sir. So
Okay,
if anyone else has questions, you can use this time and ask now.
okay, thank you.
So. mm, Yes, actually, I have a question. So I have doubt. So,
Okay, tell me.
is Gestalt psychology is practiced in India? Is there any certificate courses available or something, sir?
Gestal is not only in USA only they're using for family values certificates only they're giving for
Okay,
only
sir.
for education system is not no one should utilizing for that for simply the Gestal is using I'm only giving interest for Gestalt for education purpose. So I'm going to researching that. But
Okay.
in India, there is no for an education purpose. Gestalt is not using. Only for family values and boundaries like therapies oriented, the Gestalt is using.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay.
If anyone else has any doubts, you can ask now. You can use the text box also.
Okay.
People, do you have any doubts? Someone has requested to share your research paper on just also.
Right now, it doesn't. It's under process, but I never completed anything. I'm also slowly in what house in the inter stage only. But need to
Okay, sir.
complete it. Need to complete it for future. Yeah, it
Oh,
should take a couple of months or a couple of months. It should. I'm also some researching going there.
yes, sir. Can you tell about the research, the topic of the research?
And the topic of research is the Gestalt therapy for education system. The visual persons. How
Yes,
far
sir.
visual persons has easily to success in current scenario and the future scenario educations. The auditory, visual auditory, and how far is the visual person is mostly more and mostly uh, how to success easily to have get success in his career. That is just education career. I am researching that
Okay, sir. So it's
because
5:50, so
okay,
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
auditory person is for a commanding and responding person.
Mm.
So is that success ratio is lesser than visual persons. My That's my research. For someone it is how far it is differ. That is ethics based.
Yes, sir.
In
Yes,
my
sir.
visual person is easily to
Mm.
somewhat higher grade to auditory persons.
Mm. Okay, sir. So just a minute, sir. I will be sharing the
Mm.
certificate. Is it visible, sir?
No, Google Forms only opening.
No, sir. Like in the screen. So no worries. So I will also mail you the certificate. So thanks a
Mm.
lot. So actually, it was a very informative session. You spoke a lot about Gestalt psychology. All I remember about
Mm.
Gestalt is the sum is always greater than the whole. That only at one line everyone is remembering about the Gestalt psychology. But this was a great session. We learned a lot. You covered a lot more of
Okay,
topics. So you said about astrology, you said about how it can impact education and also. So thank you so much for the
okay.
session, sir. I will be
Thank
like
you.
mailing you this certificate. So thanks a lot.
Okay.
And everyone, like
Mm.
please fill in the feedback form, and we will be ending the session in 1 or 2 minutes. Thank you again. So I will be sharing this mail to you. I
Thank
will
you.
be
Thank you.
sharing this certificate to you. So
Thank you. Shall I leave now?
yes, sir.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
I will be giving 1 more minute. I will share the feedback form once again. So everyone, please fill in the feedback form before you are leaving. Hello everyone. I will be ending the session. So Thank you all. Thanks for attending this session.
Thank you. Thanks for
Okay.